Let's look closer at the experience of sound. In this video, we're going to perform a series of exercises. I'll give you a few moments to work with sound yourself. So you'll hear me pause, and the whole point is to keep your attention in the sound field, letting that sound wash over and move through. And then trying to look for what I suggest seems to be there, but actually can't be found. So we start by just listening to sound, just opening our attention to whatever sounds are in the room, in your space, whether they're internal or external. Okay, to the degree you can, just keep your attention in that sound. Let that be the most interesting thing to you. Whether it's the voice, whether it's the hum of a fan or an air conditioner or a heater, whether it's outside noises. Just keep your attention there as you hear the words. So the first thing is, we're not going to pick and choose. We don't care if it's voices, steady sounds, the ringing in the ears, even a body sound like a gurgling of the gut. We're not going to differentiate one from the other. We're not going to call things distracting sounds, peaceful or unpeaceful sounds. It's just sound. So we can kind of let those filters open up and let the sound just pour in. The next pointer I want to give is that we're not going to look for any descriptions. We're not here to describe our experience. You don't need to describe it to me. You couldn't if you wanted to, because I'm not there. You don't need to write it down or remember it to describe it to someone later, your spiritual experience. You don't need to record it in memory to remember how you got there or did it, because you didn't do anything. There's just sound. So we don't need to collect information here, just listening. Number 3, you can't do this right or wrong. So if you notice a thought while you're doing this that says anything like, this doesn't make sense, I don't understand the instructions, I can't do this, or, wow, I'm really good at this, I'm paying attention to sound without thoughts. Those are all thoughts, which are fine. Just redirect your attention back into the sound field if you notice them. Number 4, we're not labeling anything. There's no need to say, that's the heater. That's a car I heard driving outside. It's a little manager in your mind that points to things and says, I know what that is. Just let them rest. Give them a break. So, just the sound. It can come as at once, leave as at once. It can get louder, quieter. It can be anywhere. It can be everywhere. Just sound. Now, without turning your attention from the sound, just consider this. In the sound itself, can you find a receiver of the sound without thinking? A thought could say, oh, I'm the one listening to this sound. But then we're listening to a thought, not the sound, yes? So let's put our attention back in the sound. And in this pure experience, just the sound experience, without adding to it, and then blaming the sound on what we added to it, is there a receiver of sound? Sure, you can imagine in your mind an ear, an auditory nerve, if you have that knowledge of anatomy, a brain, sound waves. You can imagine all of those, and those are all thoughts. But in the sound, is there any listener, receiver, propagation, distance? And there's no need to conclude anything cognitively about this. Just notice. There's just that sound. And once it becomes clear that there's no receiver of sound outside of a thought, in the sound itself, there's just sound. There's also no object out there. Sure, you can imagine what's making the sound. You can imagine a speaker or a car or a person talking, but that's a thought in your mind right now. In the sound, there's only sound. In hearing, there's only hearing. So just hear. If you're willing to go through this process several times and being ruthless about when thinking starts and noticing what is sound and what is a thought, whether it's a verbal internal narrative thought or a visual image, then the non-dual sound field will clarify. You could use this video, or you can just learn those steps on your own and practice. You can do this with any sense. If one sense is easier than the other, start there. The body sense, the sound field, taste when you're eating. Close your eyes and just taste. Notice there's no receiver of taste. There's no labels outside of thought. There's nothing to say about the taste because there's just taste. And as you clarify one field, often the others will clarify naturally. Enjoy yourself.